There we go, that should be working. Or just copy. Sorry, just getting the chat set up here real quick. I had a little technical issue when I was starting up. We have it started. Alright. Alright. That's up, that's up. Alright. Good evening. Working on some roughs here, so. So did this one this afternoon. If you missed that, check that out. And I've got a whole pile of thumbnails up here that I'm doing roughs based off of. They're somewhat similar. I'm trying to come up with some cover things that I'd want to use as options for the pitch. So let's put that back up there. So I had dinner and then WALK'd the dog. And now hopefully get these knocked out. That's the goal. Here, so let's see which one. I like that one. I like the one over there. So I'll do this one. Somewhat similar, they're all kind of confronting something here. So that's what we're working on here. Let's see. So Mm-hmm. Let's see. Roughing it. Oh, hello, Yayla. Taking a break from your jobs. There's so many jobs. Let's see. You're dying? Oh, that's good. We all are. Let's see. Well, that's good, right? That's welcome to freelance, right? Um, that's how it goes. Catch all of your tangents. Well, that's good. That's progress, right? Let's see. Let's see. I've been working on a pitch project for a comic book, so I need some cover. So I finally kind of got back to it after the winter break. Um, among all the things I had going on, yeah, I set this aside for a couple months, and so just back on Working on it. I look scary with a red hood, huh? Let's see. Well, this is Mechanical Pencil, actually F-led. So yeah, I've been working on the story. I've had some treatments I've put together for plots over the last 8 months or something like that, and I'm trying to figure out different aspects of it. And so I think I feel like kind of it's a good place where it's at now, and I plotted out the first issue and did all the roughs for it, thumbnails and roughs, and then let that sit for a couple of days, and then get on with the these covers. I have a whole bunch of these cover thumbnails up here. So I wanted to do roughs for 4 or 5 of them, and then pick a couple, maybe 3 of them to do. For pitches for different publishers, they want like 5 finished pages, whatever that means, who your team is, and they want a cover and just like an overall pitch info. So that's so I'm working on putting. I want to have more to choose from. So when I assemble it all together, it hopefully have the best chance it can have, and see how it goes from there. So the story's started working on a concept project soon after. It was actually technically before I came here. I was working on it. I figured I would start, with kind of Image and work my way around. So Image, IDW, Boom, those places kind of start with. Maybe there's like some of those Image imprints might be worth talking to, like Skybound. But I just don't know. I mean, I've never done one before, so what do I know? But anyway, it said so. I was working on this concept project, and you probably might have seen it in the posts and things here over the last while. But started having stories come to mind with it. Image is pay to play. So what I've heard people kind of talk about that to a certain degree. I'm not sure what that means exactly. It seems like they have the best deal in terms of getting, in terms of like keeping your IP and all that stuff. But I don't know if they require like a certain amount up front to put it out, or what. But yeah, they have that. They do have a big distribution network and all that. So I don't know how much it costs, but I'd be curious to hear what they have to say. Okay, I thought that came from the sales. So like they put it out and then like they take theirs first and then it goes out. Or something like that. Um, Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that so that's I don't know exactly how the deal works. That's what I figured it was. I figured they publish it, and then they take whatever their cut is first, and then you get whatever you have left. I think I heard Nick Dragotta talking about it to a bit. All right, well, I will let you all know. Maybe I'll stick it in there to get feedback on the pitch once it's kind of more assembled. But yeah, that's the impression I was under. I mean, I don't know. I've never published with them. I don't really. I think I have one friend who did a long time ago. I guess I could ask him. I thought I'd ask him once I got a little bit more along with it. Brandon Dayton. He published the Green Monk with them a long time ago. That was his own story. Um, but so I could ask him, I guess, see what he has to say about it, what his experience. Like, he did a whole like mini series with them. Um, a while ago. Yeah, but I've heard people kind of mention that pay to play thing, but I wasn't sure if it's like up front or afterward. So what did they say? What was their deals like then? What did they think of their experience? You didn't ask. Oh, yeah, the friend I did with I haven't seen him in years, so like he's on social media a little bit, but I haven't talked to him since I worked with him a long time ago. Oh yeah, is it current or current like now, or is it? Title of the other room from here. It's based off my Blood Rick. I'm not sure what that one is. Let's see. I'm not familiar with that one. I mean, like the main thing for me looking at it is like what they've got distribution, and they've got a brand recognition, and the complaints I've always heard is that they just don't promote enough or something for what you get or whatever. I'm not sure what that means, in terms of what the expectations would be. It's like I work with a guy at my university. He does Atomic Robo, and I think he's been doing it as Kickstarters or things over the last while. Um, but Um, but it does seem like that would be really helpful, is having some kind of pre-existing distribution network. Someone said it's not hard to get into like the lunar catalog, which I haven't looked at yet, but I don't know what that entails, like how much that costs, and then how you get people to be interested in what you're doing. Um, how you anticipate print runs and things like that. I don't know. I haven't looked at that one. I've looked at a number of different places. I think any place that prints, originals. And there's some companies that they tend to do a lot more. What do they call them? Like IP prints, so like they get licensed IPs or something like that. Um, so, yeah, in that case, I'm not sure. I might put the knee down more. There we go. Have that coming forward. I haven't looked at that one, so I'd be curious to check it. Again, I don't know that much. Just looking at kind of all the things I've been working on over the last while, I thought this would be a really good outlet for that, and be good for me to do. Yeah, so that's what I wonder. Like, when this image is that they aren't looking for, like, you keep all of your rights. And that's like a big aspect of kind of their core philosophy is creator freedom, creator ownership, and I feel like if I were to get it, if there was some kind of upfront payment, I could probably use some of my research funds from the school for that that I can get access to. I don't know what amount that works out to right now, but um, huh. Yeah, I've thought about doing a Kickstarter. Like, I've got a sizable following here on Instagram, but it's gone pretty quiet. There was like a couple of years where I wasn't posting very much, and so it does grow again when I post. But um, so that's why I try to post all these time lapses, because it's kind of stuff I'm already doing. And you can like I can reprocess my head lopper. I don't know that one either. But But you can download like live streams and things from your archive, and so I process those in Adobe Rush, speed them up a lot, and then send them over. But I've thought about the Kickstarter thing. Like, if I have a little email list I've started, but I need to sit down and revise my marketing stuff. Um, I had that kind of set aside for a bit, and then wanted to get this kind of story locked down, so I knew what I was making. So, a lot of decisions for that, and then I kind of revise all that, and make sure I'm getting people on an email list. So if I could get like 1,000 people on a Kickstarter email list for the comic, I probably would do that first. At least that many, if not more. I see. Um, MegaCon, that's in Orlando. Yeah, so that's what I worry about is the promotional side. So one thing to like for my case, what I want to do would be to kind of get my Instagram more active, and I'm not sure what else I need to do to kind of push that. Um, Actually, funny, Ringling came up today when I stopped in at the comic shop here. The guy who runs it, Patrick, he knew George Pratt when he was out here in Virginia for a while with the, I guess, Illustration Academy, probably with Sterling. Um, so his name came up. I'm like, why doesn't he do comics anymore? What's up with that? Um, but yeah, so that's kind of like the larger issue I kind of got my end. It's like, well, I have this audience, but the way Instagram works doesn't show everything to everybody. Have a good night. Short of breath. I'm wondering if hopefully not getting sick, but the weather we've been having has been kind of nuts here. So Hmm. Someone asked about the grid now, or is that that's old? Hmm. Good evening. Popping in. Excuse me. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. I appreciate that. Derek? Trying to get a few of these roughs done. Some cover ideas. I got thumbnails as kind of the second phase, and I go and get some reference maybe tomorrow. And let's see if I like what I got. Um, Working on this pitch project, so yeah, that's what we're working on here tonight. I'm trying to keep these roughs loose, so I don't want to keep. I don't want anything here to be too precious. Um, so this is the one from earlier today. Did that this afternoon, so I'm working on this one now. So I've got a whole pile of thumbnails up there, so I'm going to try and do a few, at least a couple more of these tonight. I've got a whole bunch of pages that have been roughed out for the story, and I want to have that and a few other things so I can put together a pitch project to send out to publishers. See what I can make happen. But yeah, the story here, the guy, he's a part of a colony, an Earth colony on another planet, and they didn't realize when they left that they would run into certain kinds of problems, like not really being able to eat the local food, right? And they would eat the local plants or animals as much. Like there's, it's very difficult for them to deal with. And when they arrived on this planet, they were the ships. Some of them were separated, and the main group kind of landed or crashed, or barely survived the landing in one area. But there's other ships that crashed in different parts of the planet, and it's been 80 years since that initial landing, and this guy's the last survivor of a group that does scavenging trips to these old ships to see what they can return and use for the colony. So this is set a couple decades after his last scavenging trip that went disastrously. He was the only survivor, and it's kind of turned his life upside down. He saw some things, or thinks he saw something, that he was committed never to talk about, and it's kind of been eating at him for a long time. And the colony has reached a new tipping point, and a beacon for one of the lost ships has suddenly started transmitting. And so he's been tasked with going out to this beacon and gathering the information from it, and then bring that back to the colony so they can arrange a more expansive salvage mission. And so he's been sent out alone on this kind of almost like a one-way trip. So they don't really expect him to return. So they kind of get rid of somebody that they don't need to have around. But if he's successful, he attains great reward. And if he's not, at least his wife will be taken care of. Like he's been promised his kind of share of the supplies that are allotted, reserved for him and her. So he's taken off into the wilds of the planet in order to recover this information. And what he finds there eventually kind of upturns everything in the colony, and changes his perception of the things that happened a long time ago, what they mean for him and the future of the colony, and the things that they'll be able to accomplish. So that's kind of the story overall. And I've got approximately like 12 issues mapped out, but I'm trying to put together enough stuff to formally send out a pitch to the some publishers. So I want to rough up, 5 or 6 of these covers now that I've got the main story kind of written up. And anyway, this scene, he's the opening shots of the first issue are him being chased around the wilds of the planet by these creatures, and so I thought that might be good. I'm trying to do. I'm trying to. I wanted to understand storytelling better. Um, universities I've taught at, like storytelling has been a big part of the courses I've been teaching, visual storytelling especially, and I want to take kind of all things I've learned and been teaching and applying and bring them together. So I had working on a concept project, had all these ideas for stories, so I wanted to do that, you know, write the story and figure it all out and arrange to put it out there. It's a little shiny up there, so I can get a different angle. That's better, a little less. It is graphite, right? So it's gonna be shiny. Fun fact: graphite actually used to be a state secret in England, and if you reveal the location of the graphite mines, it was punishable by death. Once upon a time. Now it's a really, really common mineral, but back then it was considered very rare. And so the location of the mine for graphite was state secret for a while. So kind of like with China, they weren't getting caught trying to sneak out silkworms, out of outside of China was also punishable by death for a long time. But under imperial China, that is. Now it doesn't matter, but that was used to be a thing. Yeah, so I spent a good chunk of the weekend and Monday working on the story for the first issue, getting it all roughed out, and then roughing out some other little story elements, and then because I teach Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so kind of taking that opportunity to not look at it. So get a fresh view of it when I come back to looking at the story stuff on Friday. Pick the pages I want to do. I want to do at least 10 or 12 pages inked, and then pick 6 or 7 of those to color and letter, and then get those prepped for the pitch arrangement. I think if you actually comment in here, comic, I have like a bot that will collect your information. At least it should. Not always sure how well they actually work, but if you comment an Instagram comic, it'll get you on the email list if I decide to do it as a Kickstarter or just whenever I launch it. Putting together an email list for that. I want to submit it to publishers, but I've also thought about crowdfunding it. And I think if I got 1,000 or a couple thousand people on that email list for that specifically, then that would be awesome. Other thing I'm thinking about, having some kind of reward for getting on the email list, like when I assemble the pitch, the pages I do or something like that would be put a little PDF or something for the people on the list. The non-spoilery stuff. So, title goes up here, that's why there's all this empty space up there. So, alright, let's grab another page. This is a custom drawing pages I made for myself. I've thought about making them more available. Put them up on Gumroad or something. Because I made my own thumbnail pages and my own kind of plotting pages along with these roughs here. So let's see, stick that right there. Put that away. So there's 1, 2 done. Let's see, I get the page for the covers out. Got a binder over here I'm putting all this into so I can keep it organized. Oop, don't jump out of there. I don't want that to happen. I was worried, like, I have to go buy a binder and get all these plastic pages in here and everything. And then I remembered I'd, years ago, before it was available, I had printed out a full copy of Loomis's Successful Drawing Book. Because you couldn't really buy it anywhere, so I printed out a PDF of it into paper to have to use to teach from and things like that. I mess over here anyway. Huh? Put these back in. So I had all these binder pages, so I just took a minute and emptied it out, and then dumped all this in. So there we go. But yeah, this is the pages here. Oops. So there's the first page, and then it's underneath those extra sheets there for the covers, and then there's page 2, running along. It's the edge of the cliff. Tries to jump over. He's getting chased by the creature. Something comes out of a hole and bites him as he's crawling down. And so here they are, kind of getting closer, and then he falls. And then we shift to coming in on the colony. So a different point in time and shift a different part of the story. But I thumbnailed out the whole thing and then put that in here. So I'm trying to keep it all organized in here. So put those covers in here. The dog moved, huh? Tired of bumping into me? My poor dog only has 2 beds in this room, one under each table. So one under the computer desk and then one under this drafting table. Alright, move that back over here. And zoom. Good evening. Just missed what I was just doing here. Working on some cover ideas. Trout House. And did that this afternoon as a rough, and then just finished this one up as a rough. Yeah, he likes to be under my feet most of the time. The tall chair I'm on, kind of the stool chair I'm on, bumps into his little bed here once in a while. And then I have like an open drawer. It's basically above his head. And I think that after a while, I think that kind of gets to just be a little too much for him. But working on these cover thumbnails here. Taking a break from I roughed out the entire first issue, this size here, all 22 pages of it. So taking a break to do some covers. I think I'll do this one. It's similar to one I did, but It's a little more jump in the airy. Wanted to do 5 or 6 of these. And to assist me with the poses, I use these guys. So these are M13 kind of action figures. So that one's got his chest backwards. That's okay. I'll do this all backwards for a second. It looks like it is going backwards. How'd that happen? I think this just snaps off, yeah. I say that looks more like a scapula on the back. This one feels all right over here. I guess they kind of work both ways. Okay, that goes that way, that goes that way. Yeah, that makes more sense that way anyway. But saw some Japanese guys making these into like different kinds of things because of the way they snap together. They got a whole pile of them. You can buy like a set of them on Amazon for really cheap. But I've been using them to help me kind of figure out poses. Plus, they come with magnetic feet, right, Bosch? So, yeah. So I do keep beds under my desks to facilitate my dog. So here's C, and this will be D. One. I guess it'd be O. This would just be C and D. 26, 1, 2, 8, and breach. Pitch. Alright, let's put that on there. I can see it. So that's what we got going on here. So I'm trying to kind of get all the pieces I need assembled to throw that pitch out there. Let's see, these shoulders go down here. This grid is actually helpful for drawing, even though it's more based off just the thirds and the halves of the page for planning comic panels. So it goes past a little bit more. So back stops there, legs come down. That does help, like with just trying to rough things in, because I've got a grid that matches here with my thumbnails up there, and it's a standard kind of proportional grid for the lining out the page. So I'm back to working on this actively, and feel good about where I'm at with the planning of it. So hopefully I can get that all done over the next little while and put it out there. and see how quickly I can get rejected, right? Push that up a little bit higher. Yeah, well, yeah, if I get enough people onto an email list, then I can definitely, kickstart it, and that'll provide the funding for publishing it and getting it out there. I think it stands a good chance, but I just don't know, partially because I've never done anything like this before. So, um, it's not something I'm freaking out about, but it's just I don't know what to anticipate. Yeah, someone was, they were worried that what if it's too alike something else? I'm like, well, I don't think it would be. The way I'm kind of writing it, I think that precludes it from being too much like something else. Um, but obviously people have written stories about people getting stuck on colonies in a desperate situation. But I think this is a more kind of unique approach to that problem. And so I think it has some merits. As to go down here. Similar in some ways, though, with the creatures kind of reaching in their mouths. It's different pose. So I'm also concerned about making something that's going to be compelling and interesting and engaging characters and stories and the like. Let's put something in front of him there. Some pushback elements. So those are kind of things that I mostly worry about. It's not so much acceptance or rejection, but whether it's something that I would like to read. Something that's going to stand out and stands and be creative and interesting. And yeah, definitely for more creative people in the world, but it also has got to be worthwhile too. So I'll type it here, breach. I'll do what I can to make the story as compelling as possible. Interesting characters and locations and events, and hopefully leave it in a state where people can't put it down. So it's definitely all on my mind. All right, Bosch. And now you're back under my feet. It's nice to get foot rubs on your back, huh, Bosch? Optimally, anyway. Right? One of those services I have formal training in comics to to a great degree. I have training in different skill sets, but nothing specifically related to this. So we're trying to investigate where my potholes might be in my experience and knowledge base, and so I can make sure I avoid jumping into anything stupid along the way, right? Careful that I'm not making mistakes. All that rough stuff back. Let's clean it up. Yeah, definitely always need more creativity, I say. Oh, we got a. So, already starting to run low on another piece of lead. Look at that. Almost nothing there left. It's tomorrow. This is FLED, by the way, from Mitsubishi Uni. Supposedly, it's supposed to be better than the Blackwings. Blackwing's like the standard of standards, right? Let's see to put this into a playlist as a cover song. So there it is. Added in. Perfect. So, yeah. Back in right. Oh yeah, I didn't know there was a. I guess there would be a graphic novel for it. I think I made it partway through the movie, but that's a classic book. Um, it's really the. I don't know if I've mentioned here before. It's really the only book I really like by him. Um, like his other books are good, but like that's the one that I think is like it really stands out. Um, and from all the others, I think in a lot of ways. Um, I think part of it too is you read that book usually when you're young, right? And then the ending of it kind of like surprises you, right? The twist at the end, you're like, wait, what? Like I didn't see that coming when I was 13 or 12 or whatever when I read it. Um, like I know how he did it narratively, but it always felt like to me his Speaker for the Dead characters just didn't feel like the same character as Ender, and to me anyway. But so that's gotta be up there. That's the problem. But I just didn't see the reason to connect the two book series that much outside of that Queen thing. But I guess he did a lot more books in the series later on that were specifically related to his time period. But yeah, um, it was funny. I stopped in the comic shop today to because the new Skin Breakers out among a couple other things I've been reading. Um, and the comic book shop guy, he kind of sheepishly came to the back of the shop where the new stuff is, and he's like, "So we've got the Treasury edition, the extra large version, but I have only one left." He says, "And it's slightly damaged, so we're gonna get more copies next week, unless you really want to take it right now." I'm like, it's expensive, so I'll just wait." But I probably wouldn't have cared that much because I just put it in the bag and eventually after I finish looking at it. But I thought it was kind of a little funny. Ah, okay. So it's probably when the buggers attacked, right? Um, the other thing I thought was maybe interesting from Orson Scott Card is he had like this notion of aliens and the different levels that we could communicate with or not, and would lead to eventual war or kind of an extinction level war with them. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I forget what the different names were, but they're different kinds of aliens. There's ones you can that are basically like us, others that are a little further away, and then others that are like so beyond our forms of understanding that we would have no choice but to go to kind of some kind of extinction level event war with them. And I always thought that was kind of an interesting line of thought that it's like what if we don't even recognize each other's intelligence as being you know even being there. And that was the initial problem with the alien buggers, right? Because they didn't see humans as individuals, like they were, like because they don't really have that notion in our hive. There's the queen, and then there's everybody else as an extension of the queen, and so they just assumed everybody else was that way, and to our chagrin, we were not, right? So they how to get this, yeah. It's not even so much a hive mind; it's just her mind, right? It's her will being imposed on everybody else. Ended up being, they turned the Borg into, which I never liked very much in Star Trek, where they gave them a queen. Um, I always felt that was a mistake, made them less scary. But they never ask me, what I think they ought to do with their stories. So, um, no one ever checks with me first. Um, it's like, I was somewhat dismayed when the prequel started coming out, and I saw that the Jedi were a kind of formal military group, basically like a global space force, police force, or whatever. And my idea with the Jedi had always been that they were kind of like the guy from Kung Fu, the TV show, where they just kind of traveled around, helped everybody out. Any recommendations for drawing? I'm not sure what you mean. In terms of line, just using the longest lines you can is what I'm doing here. There's obviously a lot more to drawing, but um, I'm trying to keep things loose here as well, so I'm not pushing the details or anything. But I'm pretty comfortable with drawing people for the most part. I definitely get better, but yeah, Space Marine. That's why I kind of saw them that way. And then like he had them all wearing desert robes for some reason, in the prequels. So yeah, like when they got involved with the Clone Wars, I just figured that was a bunch of them kind of came in to help out, got mixed up in the war, not so much that they were formal officers of the Grand Army or whatever they called it. Um, um, and so when they take on an apprentice, it was someone that they found along the way, and set of circumstances compelled them to take them as an apprentice, or people sought them out, or if they had Jedi temples, it was kind of like a Shaolin temple where a bunch of them kind of gotten together and had a holy place or something of some kind. Um, so it was less, my notion of it was a far less formal organization. How can I achieve good anatomy in your drawing? Drawing for years, but my anatomy is always some kind of mistake. Well, do you go figure drawing a lot? Do you draw a lot from your head, from observation, from depends on what you're doing, right? I make mistakes too, but I kind of know what I'm going for most of the time. Someone asking questions about anatomy drawing. Um, and I've taught figure drawing for a long time. It does take a process, and so I normally recommend in terms of studying anatomy is you study structure in a simplified way first. Hello, Arona. Hi, Arona. Um, so like I just like to start with stick figures, and you use that to help you identify landmarks on the figure, and that's much easier to draw. This kind of stick figure. So being able to identify, the heads of the humerus, the olecranon or your elbows, your wrists, your where this connects here is your greater trochanter at the top of your femur, your patella, and your ankles. Being able to connect the dots between those landmarks is really helpful. And then learning the basic volumes, right? So the volumes used for the pelvis and the rib cage and the arms and the legs. I usually use cylinders, but box shapes work really well. Wedges for the feet, discs for the hands, and kind of an egg shape for the head, and a flattened one for the chest. And that gives you a strong sense of proportion to start off with, and then you can start putting the anatomy on top of that. But that's normally kind of how I've taught figure drawing over the years and anatomy. Walked a lot of students kind of through that process. Um, So that would be my recommendation in terms of studying it. And you'll see similar things if you go look at like the Loomis figure drawing book. He has his own sort of armature figure that he starts off with, and um, and then structure on top of that, then anatomy over that. Or something like that. I need a reference for this post. But that's generally how I kind of have taught figure drawing, structural figure drawing, and that's kind of how I've managed that over the years that I've taught. So let's go back. Yeah, hola. I think everybody knows that one. Yeah, I'm a native English speaker. I live in the United States, so yeah, definitely hablo inglés. No sé hablar español. I speak other languages, but not that one. Um, it's one of the tragedies and benefits of being a native English speaker. Is we don't have to speak other languages usually, even though it's a good idea to learn some, at least something in other languages. Um, so that's the little bit that I have anything to do with in terms of Spanish. Sadly, it's not as necessary, at least at this point, for English speakers. But certainly have nothing against doing that. Let's So, um, but yeah, that's my general recommendation is starting with some kind of armature figure. And if you look at, again, Loomis, he's the kind of go-to person people often talk about. He has a structural figure in there that I think is really helpful, along with his rendering of the stick figure that he has in there. So, well, I appreciate that. Working on some cover roughs for my little project I'm putting together. A dog singing over there on the floor. Yeah, I'm working on a comic pitch, and I wanted to throw some covers together. So I did 2 roughs earlier today. So we're going to go back and watch the replays or whatever this afternoon and then earlier today. I did this one this afternoon, right here, and then I did this one just before doing this one. So I roughed up with the whole first issue. I'm just trying to get enough pages together for a pitch, and then see what I can do with it. See if I can get anybody interested in it. And, it's all kind of a long-term story, so. There's a whole story with this character who's been sent out from their isolated colony on this other planet to recover data from a lost colony ship beacon that started going off. And so he's been sent out to investigate the beacon and bring back information. And they actually don't really expect him to survive, but he goes out alone as the last of his people that do this. But yeah, so he's been sent out to investigate, and what he finds out there will change everything to do with his people and what's possible for them, and the situation that they're all kind of stuck in. So we come to understand what's going on and why. So that's kind of the intent here. And part of it's me kind of bringing together all the different things I do into like one big project. It varies a bit. I often go live in the morning doing some sketchbook stuff. It's not directly related to this project. So I didn't do that this morning. But tomorrow I'll definitely be pretty busy. Tomorrow's my teaching day, so I've got classes in the afternoon. But if I go online, it'll probably be in the morning for the kind of the the warm-up sketchbook session. I'll show you what I did. Actually, I'm going to do a bunch of acrylic tests. So this is a bit of a mess because I was trying a bunch of different things. I think I need to put some glaze on top of the whole thing or something now that it's all dry. But I did this little test this morning using my airbrush and some other things. Acrylic's kind of a material I've avoided for a long time, but I had a class last semester I taught where I had to use it a bunch. And kind of got me rethinking about its possibilities and kind of the things I've learned in the years since studying it. Originally as a student, right? It was the last time I really used it. And so that's probably fill up some pages with some acrylic studies like that, different kinds. It's acrylic. I do a lot of oil painting, actually. Well, I have done a lot of oil painting. I haven't done as much lately, but historically I definitely have. And but I mean, I've always kind of wanted. It's always irked me that I didn't understand acrylic that well. So it's always been a something I've had on my mind. But yeah, so I usually get in the morning and kind of do some sketchbook stuff, and it can be randomly themed sometimes, but usually it's around some kind of subject matter or material or something I'm trying to improve. I'll have to buy some more of this F-Lit soon. Just my last piece. I went through this one I had this one yesterday, so I might need to order a few packs of these to have on hand. But yeah, so that was acrylic. Usually, I'm using a mixture of different things. So I got an airbrush a while back, and so I finally pulled it out recently and started using it. And so alright, so I think that's another one done in terms of a rough. Yeah, so that'd be the time to be up in the morning to do that, usually between 8 and 9 a.m. Earlier if I can, but that's usually when that happens. And it's almost 8 now. I'm going to try to do one more, get these 4 done. And kind of go from there. Next one. So which one should I do? Next. All these. With this one, with that one. I just did this one. You know, leaving out one. Let's think about this one here. This one's kind of falling. This one's standing up on top of something. That might be the most different. Oh, this one I have like up in a tree. but looking at his back, which I don't really like that much. I'm gonna go with that one. Ink pens are really good. It depends on what you're trying to learn. So that's always the question, right? Is what do you want to know? Um, and only you can answer that question. So what's helpful about using an ink pen to practice with, as opposed to a pencil, is it kind of forces you to be economical, and you have to kind of be right the first time, right? So that's the reason why people will recommend doing that. But again, it just depends on what you're practicing. So that's that's always the question, especially if you're an autodidact, if you're studying on your own. Um, the only thing you kind of want, the big thing that you can often run into as someone who is self-taught, or someone who's studying on their own mostly, is you can end up doing a lot of stuff that like chasing a lot of rabbits, I guess. So you can end up trying so many things that you don't really master anything, and you kind of just keep chasing different subjects around, and that's always the kind of the danger, or the main difficulty of being an autodidact, because it's really easy to kind of end up not really getting anywhere. So um, just lower down a bit more. Based off the rough I have. Right, monkey? Well, again, it works for everything, right? So it just depends on what your goals are. So when you're an autodidact, it's helpful to have very specific goals. So when you're in school, autodidact is someone who studies on their own. If you don't know that word. Um, but like if you're in a school or you're working with a mentor, like they will give you things to do, and you focus on those things till they are satisfied, right? So if you're in school, or you're an online course or something like that, you'll be working with um, specific people, and they will kind of help you out with that as you progress. And they'll tell you, okay, now I want you to look at this, or I want you to try this, or I want you to use this medium and this subject matter. But when you're on your own, you kind of have to make all of those decisions all by yourself. And so, again, so it's just one of those things. It just depends on what you're trying to accomplish. Um, um, so that's always the question you have to ask. I think it's helpful to have like a thing you're targeting. Like if you're trying to do comics or concept art or illustration or painting or whatever, it helps to have a project you're building toward, and that helps you learn faster. So most of the people I know that have gotten really good at art skills, they aren't just studying skills; they're studying how to do the things that they're trying to do. So, like, say they're working on a big painting, and they realize they need to understand tree anatomy, or perspective, or something like that, in order to successfully complete their project. And so when they kind of come across that problem, that's when they really master that skill, and it becomes really meaningful for them. If you're just kind of studying skills to study skills, like you're just studying anatomy just to study anatomy, it won't stick. It won't last. Um, and it's something actually a lot of artists bump into this. I bumped into this a lot. I think I've seen people refer to it as tutorial hell, like if people learning Blender or something like or ZBrush, where you just kind of keep doing tutorial after tutorial, but you're not feeding that into a larger project. And what you find is that if you'll actually feed your skills uh, by finding out what it is you actually are trying to accomplish, that you'll learn a lot faster and more thoroughly, and it'll show you what you need to know. So, like, I think anatomy is important. I think learning essential anatomy is really, really important, like memorizing certain landmarks and certain muscles and things like that. I don't think you need to know all of them, but I also wouldn't say it would hurt you to learn every single one. But you need to know like your deltoid and your biceps and your brachialis and your brachioradialis and your triceps and your pectoralis major, your external obliques, your abdominis rectus, your serratus anterior, like all those muscles. They're really important, but they're only really important if you're using them for something. A lot of ours, they kind of just absorb the information over time, and that can work too. Like some people don't formally study perspective, but they kind of pick it up over time with practice. And they learn a lot faster if they just formally study it at some point. But again, it just depends on their set of circumstances. Like I've taught perspective, so I value it a certain way. Um, but yeah, so drawing pen works for anything. It just depends on what it is you want to do. Like when I'm drawing with a pen, whether I'm sketching in my sketchbook or if I'm practicing, or here's on these type of drawings, if I switch to a pen, it's often because I'm trying to master a certain kind of inking process, and so it's more than just me learning to use a pen or an ink tool or airbrush or whatever I'm using. And it's about the things that I'm trying to accomplish with those tools than anything else. And that's why that's what makes them matter. Is what utility what you can use them for. Again, I've historically I've kind of run into the problem myself where I just enjoy learning things, and I don't always have a use for it. But the more that I found that if I do have use for something, the easier time I have learning it, and the better I remember how to use things. If it's just because I want to know something, then it's not very helpful most of the time. But if I'm working on a project that needs it, then I'll definitely learn it. So that's the big advice. Is so yes, learn anatomy, but I would try if you're trying to learn it for a reason. So make projects for that. So if you're trying to draw a figure, and like, hey, my proportions are all messed up. Maybe that's a more important thing to work on at the moment than memorizing all the anatomy. So learning basic proportions. So you get those right. Like, okay, those are working pretty good. Now my shoulders, they look strange. Why do my shoulders look strange in my drawings? Well, you should learn about the shoulder girdle and the different bones and muscles and how they attach to each other in that spot, along with the general set of structure that it's based off of, and that will fix that up. Or trying to understand gesture, things are feeling strange in those terms. That's where you're like, oh, I need to understand line of action and how that fits together for my project. That's what's going to make the difference for you. So the answer is yes, but make it meaningful for yourself. Ultimately, I think I'm working on some covers here. I finished this one up before we got in here. I'll do one more before I stop for the night. These roughs. And I did one this afternoon, and then one actually just before this one. Where's those papers? So I did this one this afternoon, and then this one just before these two. I was roughing in my story. So over the weekend and Monday, for me it's still kind of the weekend, because especially that snowstorm that came in. Sheesh. Well, the ice storm was really the big part, but um, I want to get these roughs done and kind of pick. And working on that pitch, right, for this comic project. Maybe start with Image and go to some of the other ones after that. But um, I wanted to have like the first issue kind of plotted out. I wanted to have a few pages from different parts of the story that I feel more or less confident about from the plot. So I could grab those and create some pages for them, and then pick like three of these covers. I want to do a couple more. Now that I've done these roughs, do a couple more roughs, and then pick two or three of these to actually ink and maybe color. And then same with the pages. I want to do with the pages. I want to do at least 10 inked pages, and then pick 5 or 6 to color, and then 5 go into the actual pitch. So that most places they say you put in um, um, they want a certain number of pages, usually 5 pages, a cover, the summary of your story, and then the overall pitch. Like who it's for, what kind of book it is, who your team is. Um, and so I want to have more than I need, at least twice as much, if not a little bit more than that. And that way, so when I put the whole pitch together, I'll have stuff to choose from. I won't be like, oh, I only have this number of pages. I want to have more than I need. And someone was saying that like images pay to play, and I'm not sure what that means. Like if they just demand a certain amount every month to pay, or they take their cut first. I thought they just take their cut first. I've thought about the Kickstarter thing. Part of it's like I have like this larger Instagram account, but it's interaction is really really bad. It's been that way. Well, I kind of stopped posting for a while, like a couple of years, and the interaction really fell off. It starts to kind of come back when I'm posting regularly. And so one nice thing about doing these live streams, you can actually download the archive video, and then I process it. I'm using Adobe Rush. I'd like to find something else. I'm trying to kind of de-Adobe find my life. I haven't found something I really like that allows me to do the speed up as much as they do as easily. I have to dig around a little bit more, see what I can find. But I use Adobe Rush to kind of do the time lapse with these. So recording these and then doing that is really helpful. You can also create time lapses with the Blackmagic camera, which is from the Resolve people. I guess I could process it on the computer, but I'd like to have something on my phone that I can do all of that processing with. but um, so so hopefully that helps when it does help when I'm doing that. So the goal with the Kickstarter would be to I need to get a certain number of people on an email list before I would really consider that. I'd say 1,000 to 2,000 people. I've got it set up. I just haven't been promoting it like I should. And I wanted to kind of get the story stuff worked out here before I used my limited mental energy to kind of work that out. There's like a thing if you comment comic on any of my posts or I think even in here the chat bot will hit you up in the DMs and tell you, hey, you want the comic? Here, give me your email, and I'll let you know when it's ready. And so, but I need to go through and like check everything, and then with that, that email list thing, I'd like to finish enough pages so that I can make like an Ashcan version, a PDF at the very least, that I could put out there as a promotional uh, giveaway with it, and that's not that hard to do, but it's just I need to get this story going and really get a lot of clarity on it before I do that. And I had some family stuff happen over the winter break, and that kind of offset my schedule a little bit. Um, my dad finally passing from his cancer, um, so um, so it's taking a bit to get back into the swing of things. Um, but kind of came back and plus I had a bunch of tenure paperwork too, which was just a nightmare. I actually should go back and redo it now that the committee's in active review of it, I guess now. Was a real trooper through the whole thing. He picked up this glioblastoma a little over 2 years ago, in early December of 23, and normally there's different versions. So the main one that most people that get it, they're dead within months. And he had the type that was treatable at the very least, and they were able to kind of keep him going for a long time. There was a particular medicine they were using. They had to stop giving it to him at a certain point, which when that happened, it was just like a matter of time. And so, but I got to spend some good time with him while I was during the fall break, and then he passed just before I got home. Got back there again for the winter break, um, but so I saw him about a week before. Um, but then I had tenure paperwork I had to work on because my third year review is up, and this is actually partially for that too. So being able to, if I get this published and it does really well, that can be really really good for my long-term tenure prospects. So um, so so um, and then I had to get ready for the semester, and so I had a bunch of things kind of in the way, but. over the last like week and a half, I've been able to kind of get the focus I need so I can pursue my project. And I kind of revised. It's funny. I was checking my notes. I put the dates on things because I found I forget when things happen pretty easily. 'Cause there's so many things happening. But like I did the initial plot treatment back in July, and then I did a revision of that in October. This was after I did some pages in October and September, and in July actually, and then um, yeah, so it was just interesting where the breaks in time have happened. So I did another revision of the plot, and then I thumbnailed out the first issue, and then some other story beats. Still want to do some more of that, a little more thumbnailing of those, and then I can pick from those and move forward with the full narrative. Get the get the pages I want to get done, do these covers. I think I found a better coloring approach. I think I was overdoing it with oversaturated and higher detail color, and like flatter colors would look a lot nicer. And so, especially with the detail I'm putting in, I think if I could get a simpler coloring method, I think it would work really well. So, that's what I've been posting. I recorded some screen grabs of me working on the colors and just trying to kind of multiply my efforts a bit. For time 8:15. Huh? Getting close to the stopping time. Debating whether or not to have in-person class tomorrow. The school announced we're back in person after the storm. The ground is like most of the sidewalks are still just like rock hard where I'm living, covered in ice from the ice storm. And I had a couple of students email saying, "Hey, are we going to be online or what tomorrow? Like, what's the plan? Like, our neighborhood is really iced in and we can't get out still." And like, I only have to walk like a couple blocks on this ice, but it's still really awkward. And it's not going to go above freezing outside until next week. And it gets down to single digits at night for the next few days. That's like, unusually cold here in Richmond. And the back of my house does get warmed up a bit, so I was able to kind of clean up some of the snow that goes to the back gate into the alley, so I can at least get that far without, falling over on my face. But aloha, saboteur. Just finishing up another couple of these cover roughs here. C and D. I'd like to do a couple more of these before I call it quits. But I appreciate that. Yeah, I figured I can. So I don't want to sit down and like make special social media content because this takes it's one more thing to think about, right? How much brain power do I have? But if I can record these live sessions with the phone, download them, and then speed them up, then that simplifies things for me. But these are all my little roughs here for these covers. I feel like they could all be good for different things. The other two that I did earlier today, they're somewhat similar to what we've got going on here, just kind of different poses. But goes back. But yeah, so I have, we were looking at these before. That was this afternoon on the left. And then these were in, just a sleeve here. That was earlier during this session. I just did these two here. We'll get into the book. And of course, I'm running my my custom format here with my branding on it that I made. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it there for the evening. Get rested up and get ready for going to sleep so I can have class tomorrow. So yeah, thanks for coming in, everybody. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you all later. Hello.